In a previous video, we talked about within season variation as a measure of competitive balance. And in this video, we're going to talk about between season variation as a measure. So when you look across seasons, competitive balance implies that each team can compete for a championship over some given period of time. And this level of competitive balance is called turnover or team specific. And this differs from within season variation because it considers the change in the relative position of the teams in the standings each year instead of the distance between them in a season. Now, this can be defined as, if you look at over time, T years or seasons, and winning percentage bar, which is the team's average, the given team's average winning position over that. Average winning percentage over those seasons, right? And so it looks at the difference between their winning seasons, their winning percentage within a season minus their average. Okay? And so the larger this becomes, the more team standing varies from year to year. And so the higher it is, all right, the more difference there is the team from year to year, and the more the more uncertainty there is in a team's outcome, good or bad, looking from one year to the next. You can also evaluate competitive balance by looking at the frequency at which a team wins consecutive, successive championships, or the number within a year. If different teams win championships every year, you could argue that the competition is perfectly balanced regardless of how unequal the team's records are. So as you can see in this table here, the NHL appears to be the most competitive league. Within a season, but it's the least balanced when it comes to championships. And so the NHL, has a few teams, and this is the 2006-7, 15-16 season. They had the fewest number of teams win the championships. But if you look within season, just the difference in the standings, it was actually a pretty competitive league. So it's a different way to look at it. In the NBA, the within season balance is the worst of any league, and no team has won more than 2 championships over a period of time, however. And so you see that wide dispersion in records from season to season in the NBA, but during this period, yes, the teams will win maybe 2 or 3 within there, you're looking at a period, but there's still a lot of turnover. The NFL, which we talked about as being the most competitive looking at within season, it's also the most competitive across seasons. Just a couple other ways to measure competitive balance across seasons. One is the Hermann Index, which was originally developed as to measure the concentration of firms in an industry, but sports economists do use it as a measure of the concentration of league championships. And so the HHI, Hermann Index, is equal to the sum of the squares of CI, which is the number of championships won by Team I over the T year period, right? And then divided by the number of years, which is T. So, the maximum, which could be 1, the number of championships, one team won all the championships of that year, if it was 1, right? And if the number, and then it goes down as more teams win it. The HHI are much different depending on which league you're looking at. If we go back to the table here, you have the HHIs, and you can kind of see where you have a little more, some other leagues, soccer leagues, you can kind of see there's a lot less variation, so a lot less competitions based on championships. Whereas, unsurprisingly, you have the NFL having the lowest. Because again, during that period, you only had one team win more than one championship. Another way to measure competitive balance across seasons is the Lorenz curve. Now, this is typically used to show income inequality by illustrating the percentage of income earned by a given percentage of the population. But in this case, we look at the cumulative winning percentages of teams in a league divided by deciles. Can't even say it. Now, in a league with perfectly equal competition, 10% of the teams would earn 10% of the wins, 20% of the teams would earn 20%, so forth. And so the more unequal, the further you get away from that perfect 45-degree line here. So again, this is just another way to measure competitive balance looking across seasons. But the overall idea is that the more competitive a league is over that period, the more teams will win championships and the more turnover you will see within the standings.